Today's lesson about unobserved economic activities. Now we were discussing macroeconomics, simply the way of recognizing countries' overall production. There are two types of events and unobserved economic activities. One is hidden economic activity. It is sort of a event that participants deliberately hide those events from authorities. Variety of many purposes, sometimes to evade paying taxes, to evade making social security contribution, to avoid complying with legal standards. In here, they will realize administrative regulations too much, or as they want to escape from administrative regulations. Therefore, they are willing to hide such events from legal authorities. Sometimes they do trade without forming a formal organization. Just they trade goods and services with each other, to customers, but they do not keep any records. Even they do not like to pay taxes. If they pay taxes, they are supposed to pay such an amount, and they don't like to pay. Therefore, deliberately they hide that events. As well as illegal economic activities. This is very famous because variety of events are going on. Illegal drugs, prostitution, as well as illegal certificates. These are illegal events. If these events occur, transactions are not revealed by the authority, then these events are hidden from the national or unobserved economic activities. So it says over there, illegal and hidden economic activities are not taken into account when measuring gross national product. Hidden economic activities, illegal economic activities that are not subject to systematic calculations are considered as hidden economic activities, and attempts are made to deliberately hide these activities from authorities due to some of the following reasons: to evade paying taxes. Evade means they don't like to pay taxes, they want to escape from paying taxes. To evade making social security contribution. In here, EPF, ETF, if workers are recruited, they are supposed to pay EPF, ETF. It's another burden for the employer. Even they can escape from it. To avoid complying with legal standard, payment of minimum legal wage. Nowadays, legal minimum wage for the private sector is 16,000 rupees per month. Recently increased to 16,000. No one is supposed to pay less than 16,000. It's a law. But if the activities are going on without a legal process, of course, employer can pay lower than that. That's the purpose they want to hide. Law in relation to maximize number of working hours. Even number of working hours also very recognized. 8 hours, sometimes 10 hours. After that, their workers are supposed to pay overtime pay. It is a right for an employee. If they do such a hidden activity, if they do not have proper organization under particular name or any registration, then workers can be employed more than the usual hours. So it is completely dangerous for the worker, as well as such activities not revealed by the authority. So law in relation to security and hygiene. Security and hygiene also very important. Workers are supposed to provide all the requirements when they are going to do particular transaction. You see, they need a proper a uniform if they are working at a particular place, as well as hygiene. They need facilities, need water, clean drinking water is required. Even they need hygiene facilities such as washrooms and everything, and proper meals, the area where they can what do you call, take a leisure time. I mean, likewise, particular things are emphasized. It is a law. If they do not show the organization to the authority, they can hide, they can control, they can cut the cost on those. Anyways, illegal. Disinclinations towards complying with other administrative regulations, providence of statistical documents, unwilling to fill questionnaires, and other formats. So in here, they don't like administrative regulations. They are supposed to provide details about nature of the business, the period where they have started, as well as variety of things about a business. If they do not show, they don't need to face any questionnaires from the legal authority. Even they do not need to pay any taxes or any other charges. They can avoid everything. Finally, such event is not revealed. Illegal economic activities. There are two forms of illegal activities, and these are production and distribution of goods and services that are legally prohibited. Here, illegal felling and selling of trees, transportation, contrabands, contrabands, production, distribution of drugs and liquor, prostitution. These are completely illegal things. Then production and distribution of goods and services without obtaining legal authority. Serving as a doctor without obtaining the registration at the Sri Lankan Medical Council, driving a vehicle without a license, sand mining without a permit. Even this is prohibited areas. Some doctors, they treat patients, but they don't have a proper license. They don't have. As a result, it is even said to be illegal activity, not allowed. Right. Thereafter, productive economic activities which are included in gross domestic product. These are the economic activities which are included in the gross domestic product. Actually, there are several events. First of all the goods and services produced. All the goods and services produced should be included. Domestic services obtained from one's own dwelling. Domestic services, if someone is occupied for the providing a service, it should be included. Next one, labor sacrifice for wages for different type of payment. Items produced from one's own consumption. They produce for their own consumption. Even it should be included. Goods produced and services provided utilizing voluntary labor. Even such an activity should be included as a production of goods. Next one, productive economic activities not included in gross domestic production. Study, study and leisure. These are productive but not included. Natural resources obtained at free cost. Actually, no, there are things natural, complete natural, but no cost. Anyways, it is not included. unpaid domestic service. Earlier, actually, product services was there for dwelling. Actually, it is paid. If there is unpaid domestic service, should not be included. For example, housewife. Actually, they do many things in a house, maybe cleaning, cooking, lot, but no one paid for it. When we employ a housemaid, say, need to pay a salary, maybe monthly, maybe weekly, daily, whatever. It is a paid domestic service. It should be included, but unpaid domestic services should not be included. As well as anything what we produce within the house, within our place for our consumption, even it should be included. All the production should be included, even though we make for ourselves. Unpaid domestic service, natural resources that grow without human effort. So like a forest, it grows automatically without human involvement. Even it is not included in gross domestic production. Next one, change in the value of resources due to changes in the price of natural growth. When there are changes in value of resources due to natural changes, not included because there is no any human effort. Thereafter, non-productive and not included in GDP. Transfer payment. What kind of transfer payments are there? You know, especially people are paid pension. Pension scheme is a transfer payment. So people are paid money as an assessment what they have done, what they have incurred, what they have rendered before. So after the retirement, they are paid a pension lump sum. It is just a fund transfer, therefore not productive. Next one, payment in relation to financial papers. Actually, this is financial paper since the transaction occurred at stock exchange. Stock exchange. You know, stock exchange includes number of events. Like they do exchange mainly shares, tradable shares of public limited companies between investors. Therefore, all the financial transactions are not included in GDP. Not only those, sometimes treasury bills, treasury bonds, and other securities can also be traded at the stock exchange, even not included in national accounts. If public limited company sells shares, firstly, it is included. Why is that? Just the firm collect finance as an investment, therefore it is productive. In the stock exchange, it is called secondary market, not a primary market. Primary market sense, firstly, they sell shares to investors. At the secondary market, you see, transactions occurred between investors, like buying and selling, it is not included. Then after, payment made selling of used items. Second-hand car. Second-hand car. Of course, we purchased a car like brand new, unregistered. It is first time. Thereafter, registered vehicles are sold. Second-hand cars are not included in national accounts because it was sold before, was recorded in national accounts. After this one, we do consider importance of preparing national accounts. We have to measure the performance. We have to calculate country's growth rate, economic growth, per capita income, measuring living standard, recognizing the structure of country, like primary, secondary, and service can be realized the structure by looking at national accounts. So here I added this includes importance of preparing national accounts to assess economic performance, to make comparison with other countries in the world, to measure economic growth, to understand economic structure of the country, to estimate per capita income sense income per head. Nowadays, income per head is really low. Sri Lanka is one of begging country and very poor country in the world because of their per capita income is really weak. Next one, to have understanding about exposure to resource composition and utilization, the structure of the utilization of resources and total resources of the economy, to forecast behavior of macroeconomic variables. Economy is, whether economy is good or bad, everything can be revealed by considering country's national accounts. We had minus 3.6 economic growth, in other words, recession in 2020, the largest downfall of the economy. Then the central bank or other economists in the country can predict the future. Even recently, head of central bank decided to resign because quite difficult to control such economic downfall. Everything can be revealed by considering national accounts. Thereafter, to identify functional relationship between economic factors, savings, consumption, investment, like that. Next one, limitation of national accounts. Even though national accounts are prepared, some limitations are there. Here, non-exclusion of productive activities taking place in informal economy. Next, informal economy we studied, sort of a hidden economy, not properly captured. It is not included in national accounts. Non-inclusion of dependent economic activities of national accounts. Non-inclusion of service provided by housewives, national production, as well as non-inclusion of interest-paid public debt in national production calculations. Here, government pays interest when they take loans, but such an interest payment is said to be a transfer. Therefore, it is not included. Non-consideration of damage environment due to the production activities. It is about environmental degradation. Damages are not considered. Non-consideration of changes in productivity in public sector. Productivity, even private, public, are not considered. We consider only the quantitative changes, not qualitative. Productivity is sort of qualitative fact. Inclusion of expenditure, defense and wars under productive activities, not included in these transactions. Non-inclusion of some consumer goods with long lifespan of national production by categorizing them as investment. So some consumer goods, long life span, national production by categorizing investments in sort of buildings, machines, which have long lifespan, therefore considered as investment. Sometimes those are not actual investment of a country which will not produce goods and services. Summarized economic account details. Then we want to calculate country's national production. Our target is to calculate gross national production, instead of this word, gross domestic product. Gross domestic product. So gross domestic product must be calculated. Therefore, all these things should be included. Simply agriculture, forestry, fishing goes to primary sector. Thereafter, up to here goes to secondary sector. Thereafter, up to here, other services, services or tertiary sector, primary, secondary, tertiary. Then we add all. Gross value added is calculated. We will add all the taxes regarding products, subtract all the subsidies regarding products. Finally, we calculate country's gross domestic production, domestic product at market price. Here we will consider two prices, basic price and market price as well. Now, we are going to consider the way of calculating national accounts. Actually, there are three approaches: production, income, and expenditure. There is a circular flow of income, then production equal to income, then income equal to expenditure. Total production of a country is exactly equal to its income as well as expenditure. But we can calculate country's GDP by using these three methods. Whatever the method we use, GDP, gross domestic product, is the same. So it says here, three approaches can be used to measure the value of country's product: production approach, income approach, expenditure approach. Counting in all three ways is equal the value of national product. That is, the total output of the economy is equal to income is generates. Accordingly, there is a macro correlation between national expenditure and national income. First of all, production approach. Production approach, primary, secondary, tertiary sector things are added. So here, GDP means abbreviation of gross domestic product, is a measure of the value of finished products produced within a given period of time in an economy. There are two approaches that can be used to estimate this value. Here, final product method as well as value added method. Final product method means the total production is captured at last. For example, we have to use, let's just imagine cake. Cake is a final product, what we use for our consumption. Variety of ingredients are included to make a cake. Sugar, maybe coloring, or else as well as flour, wheat flour. Just few things together. All these are final products of different industries. Let's say sugar industry. Sugar is a final product. Coloring company, color is a final product of that company. As well as wheat flour, final output of a farmer. But these were ingredients of cake manufacturer. Right now, under the final product method, we do consider only the value of cake. All intermediate industrial production are ignored. Sugar, ignored. Wheat flour, ignored. Coloring, ignored. Then we consider only the cake company to calculate country's GDP. But there is a problem. Sugar is not only for the manufacturing cake. Even sugar is used household for their day-to-day consumption. Now there is some problem. Even now sugar becomes a final product. So the value of sugar is underestimated if value of cake only taken into accounts. Therefore, economists said final product is not always correct. Therefore, value added is better. What is value added? Value of sugar company, wheat flour, coloring company, plus value added of cake. For example, cake manufacturer produced 1,000 worth cake. So wanted to use sugar. Here 200, say 100. Wheat flour. Of course, I just write 200. Therein after coloring. Coloring. 100. Right. Therein after, we consider value added of the cake. These are intermediate. Total is 400. Total is 400. Actually, value added of cake means last value, gross value output, final value, and intermediate consumption. It's abstracted intermediate consumption. So GVO, gross value output, is 1,000 minus 400. Then answer is 600. So then this is the value of the cake company. Then economist said only 600 should be taken to accounts. Meanwhile, 400 can be taken. Sugar company value, flour, coloring, everything can be taken into accounts. Meanwhile, cake company, the value should be only 600. How do you take that? Gross value output minus IC. These are the two methods of recognizing country's final product. Just imagine if everything is taken, value of cake and sugar, flour, coloring. If color company, sugar company, flour company, total output is calculated together with cake, total becomes overstated. Now it is 1,400. This is wrong. This is wrong. It is called, this value 1,400 is called multiple counting error or double counting error. It's an error. Why? Sugar, value of sugar recorded twice. 100 recorded twice. 200 recorded twice. Coloring also the same. Therefore, overstated. This value is wrong. Therefore, economists said to take final product like 1,000 or else value added like 600 and 400. Even we add 600 and 400, total become 1,000. Even total become 1,000. It is now accurate. It is now accurate. Final product also 1,000. Right. So this is how we ignore, we recognize country's production under the production, final production method and value added method. Right. So it says final product method, the products that can be used for the consumption or investment without any further processing are considered under this method. For example, When manufacturing a wooden chair, the production process passes through several stages, serving of wooden, fixing of parts, polishing, etc. Going through these stages, the final product, the chair, can be manufactured. Under final product method, only the value of final product, there is chair, is considered for GDP calculation. This is done without a view to avoiding double counting error. Double counting error means the value, double counting error means the value of the same item more than once naturally lead overestimated of GDP. Although measuring the value of GDP through final product method is practical, certain difficulties could be encountered. When, whether an item is final product or intermediate. So it's quite difficult to realize whether it is final product or intermediate. For example, sugar, it is a final product sometimes, sometimes intermediate, like that. Depend upon its usage. For example, tire purchase by a businessman to manufacture a motor vehicle has to be considered as an intermediate product, whereas a person purchasing tire for his or her vehicle has to be considered as a final product. Milk purchased to be consumed at home is a final product, whereas milk purchased by a firm to make butter is considered as an intermediate product. It is particularly difficult to identify a person's intention of purchasing a product. So therefore, final product method is not somewhat realistic. So then finally we use a value added method to calculate countries' GDP. Here, the value added method is the best way of assessing the value of final products to avoid problem of encountered in the final output system. The financial value of the goods and services produced is called gross value of product or output. External goods and services purchased for the production process are called intermediate input. And when the value of the intermediate input is subtracted from the gross value output is the output of the good and service, the balance is called value addition of the product. There are two ways of the value addition for the production can be calculated. There are production sources, income sources. We do consider separately how does production sources and income sources are calculated. In the production sources, the method is GVO minus IC. In other words, total value, say intermediate consumption, should be subtracted from the total value. It is called production method. Income sources, all factor income, like compensation of employees, if not wages, interest, profit, dividend, depreciation, and everything should be added together to calculate value added under income sources. So here, when calculating value added amount from the source of production, it subtracts all the value of external inputs, and when calculating the value added amount from the source of income, it takes into account all factor income of all inputs used in production process, and also depreciation resulting from use of fixed capital. Here, source of production, value of output, subtracted all the raw materials, cost of services, then the total value added is 6,000. Here the income sources, rent, salary, interest, profit, all the fact income, including depreciation, then the total becomes 6,000. So value added can be calculated by using either production method or income method. Next, calculating gross domestic production. So gross domestic product should be calculated by considering the value. In here, I told you that total output should be, total intermediate production should be subtracted from total value of the production. See here, output means goods turned and services turned out and services provided through a provision process, and the monetary value of goods and services produced is identified as gross value output, GVO, total value of monetary value of goods and services. Gross domestic production shows the added value of production is the entire economy. There are two types of inputs in the production process. They are primary inputs, intermediate inputs. Here the primary inputs are factor inputs used in the production process. Example, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, and these are considered as input that generate value addition. Next, in a production process, goods and services purchased externally are identified as intermediate inputs. Electricity, water, raw material, stationery, consultancy services utilized processes of the production are considered as intermediate inputs. Utilization of intermediate inputs in a production process is called intermediate consumption. In the previous case, example like cake. Primary inputs include land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. These are the primary factor of production that generate output.